Year 10 and welcome to today's mini lesson. We're continuing with our work on section 3 of the course, which is people in business, people being the employees. So we start off by looking at what is meant by human resources. So human resources, basically the people in the business, and this is the second lesson on section 3. A revision lesson once again. Just before we get started with the lesson today then on different ways of working, please make sure that you have as an absolute minimum, and I know a lot of you have been very good and I'm really impressed that some of you have done every single lesson, uploaded your work. I can't tell you how far that goes and how much that's going to improve your how well you do on the course. So, but as an absolute minimum, you must have done the topic 1 business activity key piece of work, which was set on the 23rd of April. Look back at Show My Homework. You must have also done the section 2 marketing key task, which was set on May the 13th. Now we're on to section 3. So this is the last section in year 10, people in business. We've done it before. There's no key piece of work been set for this particular section of the course yet, but one will be coming after half term. So there's 2 key bits of work that you should, as an absolute minimum, have submitted. But you should be aiming to do all the work every lesson, and you will benefit so much from that. And also, it's part of your responsibility as a student to be doing that. Right, okay, so today we're going to look at different ways of working. Let's just have a look at the objectives. So to be able to identify the advantages and disadvantages to businesses of allowing workers to work in different ways. It's not just the advantages and disadvantages to the business, it's also the advantages and disadvantages to the employees of being able to work in different ways. Already you should be thinking, well, I can remember some of the different ways that workers can work. There's like full-time workers, there's part-time workers. Can you remember the others? There's about 7 or 8. Amber Cup students are going to be able to show a really good understanding of the different ways of working when answering exam-style questions, so you'll be able to talk confidently about why perhaps a business should choose a particular way of working for some of its employees, showing understanding of the benefits and drawbacks to that method of working. And you'll do that by making your explanation very much step by step, and also linking what you're saying to the case study, because that's so important. Blue Cup students will be able to evaluate the best way of working for a particular business. So a question might say a business is thinking about A, having more part-time workers, or B, having more full-time workers, and Blue Cup students would have to sort of make a case for having more part-time workers and a case for more full-time workers, and then a bit of a sort of conclusion. So is that sort of skill for the Blue Cup students, the kind of the arguing, the weighing up, the sort of identifying issues and talking through the issues and stuff like that before you arrive at conclusions. So they're the objectives. I'm just going to do a bit of background stuff before we go on to different ways of working. You can see the picture. There's a lady, it looks like she's a mother by the seams of things. She's got a little child there, she's working away. So that sounds like it could be flexible working or working from home that's going on. So what are the benefits to her and what are the benefits to the business that is employing her? That's just one example of ways of working. Right, so just a reminder, you should be doing work that is right for you. Red Cup students, you are understanding key words, key terminology, and you can describe your points quite in a quite straightforward way, and that if that's you find it quite difficult to develop your points into an explanation by using words like because, so, therefore, and moreover, those sorts of words. If you find that difficult, but your knowledge, you certainly can remember key terminology and stuff like that, then Red Cup is what you should be doing. Amber Cup students, well, that's for the students that are trying to be able to explain their points in a step-by-step way and making their ideas specific to the data from the case study. And then Blue Cup students, these are the students that are really trying to push themselves by answering some questions that require them to evaluate. So make sure that you know where you are on that, and just be aware that, you know, if you want to be getting sort of levels 7, 8 and 9, you need to be accessing Blue Cup work and doing it. If you're successfully doing Amber Cup work really well, you're explaining your points, you've got good knowledge, you are making your answers specific to the case study, then you're heading towards sort of level 5, maybe level 6 on that. Red Cup students, well, if you've got really good knowledge, you're sort of going to get towards level 3, but you know, you guys should be pushing on as well for Amber Cup stuff. So today's lesson in context, I'm just putting up the big topics in GCSE Business Studies. Business activity, so we revised that during the first part of school closure, and you did a key piece of work on that. So look back at those lessons if you need to. Then we did the same for marketing, and a key piece of work was set for you on that about a week ago or so. And then the third one is people in business. On people in business, the first lesson was on the role of human resources. So what that means is that people that work in a human resources department in a business, they're normally trying to identify human resource needs. What do we need? How many workers do we need? What training do we need to give them? What ways of working do we need in our business? You know, do we need part-time staff, full-time staff? What skills do they need? All those sorts of questions. You know, that is really what human resource is about. It's about human resource planning and personnel plans. So make sure that you understand that. Then I'm going to talk a bit more about organisational structures in just a minute, but last lesson was on that, how workers are organised in a business. Today we're looking at ways of working. And then you can see in the orange font, the other topics are year 11 topics, but our aim really is to have completely mastered, to the best of our ability, those first 3 sections of the course, so that we are ready for year 11 work. So we're working on ways of working today, and this people section will take us a good few weeks to get through before our sort of end of people key piece of work. Right, so just a quick one, organisational structures. Make sure that from the last revision lesson you know that organisational structures show how employees in a business are organised. There's, according to the specification, there's 2 types of organisational structure. There's the tall, narrow structure, and then there's the flat, wide structure. So if we look at the tall, narrow one, we can see that there are lots of levels of hierarchy. Managers have a small span of control. So if you see at the top, that manager has got a span of control of just 2 people directly below him or her. We can see that there's a very clear chain of command. So if the person at the top, the manager, wants to get a message to the person that's on the 4th level of hierarchy, bottom left, that person, then you can see that this person here would pass communication through this person to that person if needed. So there's a clear chain of command, how communication is passed through the business. One of the downsides perhaps is that communication can take quite a long time to pass through the business, and that means that the business might not be very flexible, and errors can be made with messages being misinterpreted or miscommunicated. But the good thing is that, you know, with this type of hierarchy, if we take this person here, this person has clearly got an opportunity to move up to the next level of hierarchy. There's promotional opportunities, and once up here there's an opportunity to get promoted to sort of top management. So there's obviously the opportunity for promotions. Perhaps on the downside, maybe these employees feel that they are getting managed and they're too closely supervised by their line manager, and that can lead to them perhaps being a bit demotivated and feeling like they don't have the freedom to make their own decisions. So there's lots of benefits and drawbacks. I've just gone through a few on the tall, narrow structure. Often these sorts of businesses are good if the organisation is very big, because it's really important that the people in very big businesses know exactly what their roles and responsibilities are, who their line manager is and stuff like that. So in big organisations like hospitals and things like that, this type of organisational structure on the left, the tool one, is quite important. It's also good for businesses where there's not a great need for creativity, because if we come over to the short wide organisational structure, these people don't get supervised too closely by their manager. So on the one hand, they could be lazy, and that's a negative, but on the good side, they've got the freedom to be creative and come up with their own ideas and ways of doing things. This particular method is more suitable. This is a bit of an evaluation point for businesses where creativity is not so needed, whereas the short flat one is better in creative type of businesses, such as media organisations. Right, okay, so that's a bit on types of organisational structure. You may get asked in a question, explain 2 reasons why the business should start to use a tall, narrow structure or something to that effect. You might be told that the business is growing, and you might have to make a case for a tall, narrow structure and a case for a short, wide structure before doing an evaluation. So make sure that you understand organisational structures. Right, so on to today, ways of working. What I'd like you to do, please, is just pause the presentation when I just stop talking. Try to fill in the gaps using common sense, and remember this is revision. And then after you paused it, the next slide will tell you the answers to the filling in the gaps. Make notes if you need to today. Make sure you've got title as per the instructions on Show My Homework. So there are the answers to the different ways of working. I'm not going to go through them all, but these are the key ones that we need to know. So the first task that I have set for you today that's on Show My Homework is I want you to go to the revision guide. The revision guide is on the attachment 1 and 2 on Show My Homework, and I want you to just revise the advantages and disadvantages to the business of the different ways of working for its employees, and the advantages and disadvantages to the employees of the different ways of working. So have a little revise of those 2 tables, and then when you've done that, the first task I want you to do today is to have a go at just some sort of red cup type of knowledge questions, and this is the only task that I'm asking red cup students to do today. When you've done it, you can go back to the table and compare your answers and give yourself a mark out of 8. And that's the evidence I would want to see from red cup students through Show My Homework by taking a picture and uploading it. I've also put on here a question that was a past exam question about Hall Green Farm, and there was a 9-mark question, and there is a model answer, so have a little look at that. And then the tasks are shown on this slide today, so everyone needs to have a go at that little knowledge test and just show their answers. I've also put on to Show My Homework the 2 pages from the revision guide and the actual sort of the proper book revision guide. And those 2 pages, the second one has got a green box that says now test yourself, and there's 2 3-mark questions and a 9-mark question. And I want Amber and Blue Cup people to try those questions. For Amber Cup students, there's a writing frame there for the 9-marker. And after this slide, there are actually some model answers to those questions. So you can green pen your answers after you've attempted them. I'm not going to put up on here the model answers because you can look at them in your own time once you've attempted the questions. But the key thing really today, if there's one slide that's really important, it's this one here. It's having this absolutely nailed down so that we know the advantages and disadvantages to the business of the different ways of working, and we know the advantages and disadvantages to the worker and to the employee of the different ways of working. And really this is what you must have in order to be equipped to answer any questions at all on this particular topic. Right, okay, so I'm going to leave the presentation there. As I say, after that slide you've got a writing frame for the 9-marker. I'm not going to go on to the I'm not going to go on to the exemplar answers, but that is your work for today. And most important message really today is make sure by half term you've done those 2 key pieces of work. One on the first topic, which was business activity, and the second one on the second section of the course, marketing, and we're now on to people in business. Okay, have a really good day. Look forward to speaking with you soon. So bye-bye for now.